Josh Bell, our film critic's been off for about 2 weeks, not on purpose, but there just hasn't been a lot of great movies out.
It's been a really slow time for the last couple weeks. I think you have a big Thanksgiving, and then things kind of quiet down a bit, and now as we're getting close to Christmas, we're building back up, and there's going to be a ton of stuff opening next week. But this week is good, too.
Yeah, you said you really liked this Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and it's cartoonish, and I was like, and you were like, no, it's good.
No, it is good, and I think people should not be biased against animated films. There are a lot of great animated films that are not just for kids, although this is perfectly appropriate for kids, maybe not super small kids.
Okay.
But the concept here is, I mean, this is Spider-Man, but it's not the same Spider-Man that we have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay.
So it takes place kind of in its own world, and Miles Morales, who is a young Afro-Latino kid, is the Spider-Man in this movie. And there's a bunch of other spider people as well. So there's kind of alternate universes, and he discovers he's not the only Spider-Man. So you've got Peter Parker, but it's this kind of older, rundown version of Peter Parker who becomes Miles' mentor. You've got Gwen Stacy, who's a Spider-Woman. You've got Peter Porker, the spectacular Spider-Ham, voiced by John Mulaney.
Really? Is that new?
Yeah, these are all characters from the comic book. So if you're a comic book fan, you may be familiar with these semi-obscure characters, and there's a few others, and they all team up to set the multiverse right. They got to go back to their home dimensions and defeat the Kingpin, who's the main villain in this movie. And it's just a lot of fun. It's kind of crazy and wacky, as you can imagine, from Peter Porker and characters like that. It's got a great look. I mean, it is animated, but it looks like a comic book. They really use the freedom of the animation in order to give it a look that you couldn't get in a live-action movie. And you've got kind of comic book panels and the lettering that you might have in comic books and sound effects and the way the colors look, like the sort of a two-tone color, and it's just really visually creative. It's very fast-paced and entertaining. I think comic book fans will have a lot of fun with it because they'll recognize these characters, but even if you don't know all these obscure comics characters, you can still be really entertained by this movie. I think this is probably the best superhero movie this year.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. That's a big statement.
I mean, I think it backs it up. Not that there weren't other good superhero movies this year. This was a good year for those, I think, but especially I think if you're tired of those Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that just do the same thing in an entertaining way, but kind of very similar over and over again, this movie takes a different approach than what we've been seeing from other Marvel movies.
Okay, yeah, I know. It does look great. It looks real almost, but real but comic bookish, all in one.
Yeah, I mean, it has its own style that doesn't look like any other movie.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on to Mortal Engines. This one, did you like it?
No.
Okay. That was easy.
There's the answer for that.
That's it. No. What didn't you like?
Everything.
Okay.
This movie is. I was hoping for something better out of this movie.
Okay.
It's co-written and co-produced by Peter Jackson, who of course created the Lord of the Rings trilogy, as well as the Hobbit trilogy, which wasn't as good. But still, he's a great visionary for these big fantasy epics, and this is based on the first book in a 4-book series that takes place in this crazy future post-apocalyptic world where these giant cities are like on treads and they move and kind of swallow up other cities. So it's got a crazy, interesting world to it. Directed by Peter Jackson's protege, Christian Rivers. So he's not the director, but he's very involved in bringing this to life. But it's full of these cardboard young adult characters that are just bland and uninteresting. It's got nonstop boring exposition, terrible dialogue, and it looks cool, but it almost looks too good. It doesn't look lived in. It's very polished. So, I mean, it's loud and it's kind of bullying you into submission in terms of this blockbuster excitement, but it rips off Star Wars, it rips off Divergent, it rips off The Hunger Games, and there's nothing really exciting or original about this movie, unfortunately.
Okay, so we should go see Spider-Man.
Definitely. See Spider-Man. Even if you think you don't want to see an animated movie, see Spider-Man.
Yeah, hey, 15 seconds. Golden Globe nominations. You think good choices there?
I mean, the Golden Globes always make some odd choices, but hopefully we'll see some movies get some recognition that otherwise people wouldn't be able to go see. I know we were just talking about The Favorite, which I haven't had a chance to see yet, but that opens here this week as well.
Oh, okay, perfect. Well, we'll see you next week.
Yes.
Thanks, Josh. That was a Bell Breakdown. Do we have the bell? The bell is back.
All
there
right.
it is. I know you can't hear it, but